This conference will now be recorded.
So when we look at the problem with joint product costing, we have the assumptions. We're looking at it from the standpoint that we have 4 books, but it's only one overhead cost for all the books. So it's 4 books, and we aren't using the machine hours at all. So we're just looking at one book. And essentially, we've got to do the same thing that we were doing, but we've got to do it now for 4 books. So I asked you all when you were working this to assign each person a book. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll look at this problem somewhat, but for examination purposes, you're going to, what you're going to be required to do is to, given that you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 books, come up with an activity rate, the unit overhead cost for each book, and then complete this table where we calculate the unit cost, selling price, and predetermined overhead rate, which is given for each book. You don't have to get into the journal entries, because when you all make journal entries and have to post, you all just freak out. So making a posting is difficult. But we've done it already. We got 4, we've done it for 1 book. With 4 books, we just got 4 books. But we have to, do essentially the same thing with a book for each. But let's see if we can work this out for the first book. And the first thing we do is our manufacturing overhead is $200,000. That's in the assumption. That's what we put here. Does everyone see the $200,000? Then we're going to pick up the hours per book. So these were calculated for us 10 books per hour, and we're making 20,000 books, 2,000 hours. 10 books per hour, we're making 15,000 books. And so how many hours? It's 5 books per hour, excuse me. We're making 15,000 books. So it's 3,000 hours. That's how we calculate the hours. 1 book per hour, 10,000, and 2 hours per book, 10,000 also. So this is not a difficult calculation. We got to make 20,000 books. We can make 10 books an hour. It's going to take 2,000 hours. Does everyone see that? If it were 15,000 and we make 5 books an hour, it's going to be 3,000. In advanced book, we make it 10,000. It takes an hour to make each one. Is 10,000. So the tax book, it takes 2 hours to make it. We make it 5, so it's now 10,000. So you see all of those scenarios with the labor hours being, we can make more than 1 an hour, 1 per hour, until it takes 2 hours. So it pulls all those things together. And we have 25 hours. So we simply need to go from the 200,000 and bring down the 2, the 3, the 10, and the 10. So it's 25,000. We then divide whatever's in this first column by our total hours, and we get an activity rate of 8. Does anybody have a question about that 8 activity rate? Does anybody have a question about the 8? And of course, that 8 becomes a POR in this situation in terms of making the journal entry. Okay. All right, let's look at the principles book. And once we get this activity rate of 8, the amount of overhead that we're going to allocate, we're going to look at the labor hours, so we just bring the 2,000 down. We multiply by 8, and therefore 16,000 of the overhead is coming to the principal's book. The quantity of principals is 20,000. That's saying 20,000 up here. So the unit overhead rate is 0.8. The unit overhead rate is 0.8. And our selling price multiple is 2. So now our next step, okay, what's the unit cost of principals? The ink is 1 at 20. So we have $20. The paper is 1 at 10. So we have $10. The labor, we can make 10 books per hour. The rate is $10 an hour. So it is $1. We bring down this calculated overhead rate of 0.8. And so the total unit cost is 31.8. The selling price multiple is 2. And so $63.60 becomes the selling price of the principal's book, and the POR is 8. Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Professor, where is this template that you're working on? Is it on Blackboard?
I don't know if it is or not. I guess it's in the primer. I'm just going from the primer.
Okay.
Did I put in an insert at all on joint product costing?
On the second demonstration problem, it's the bottom of the second demonstration problem. The whole spreadsheet
So
is
it's on
there.
the demonstration problem. So it is in there. So can everybody pull it up?
The demonstration? The first one or the second one, or both?
Say what?
Is it on both?
I copied mine from the second one. I just copied and pasted the whole thing, the whole Word document.
So you just got to pull it out. Are there any questions with any of this? Okay. Are there any questions of how we got 8?
Yes, can you go over how you got 8 one more time?
Okay. We're doing a weighted average. We're doing a weighted average. And so the total overhead is 200,000. The total overhead is 200,000. For the principal's book, we got to make 20,000. It's 10 books per hour, so it's going to take 2,000 hours. Maybe let me go through here. Let me bold this. Make it 16. Okay, so this is where we're working. For getting the labor hours down. For the intermediate book, we got to make 15,000. We're making 5 per hour, so that's 3,000. Do you see the 2,000 and the 3,000?
Yes, I see it.
For the advanced book, it's 1 per hour. We got to make 10,000, so it's 10,000. And for the tax book, it takes 2 hours to make a tax book. So we got to multiply. We were dividing over here, now we're multiplying, so it's 10,000 hours. So we literally lift this up and put it in these boxes here, okay? So all of this is lifted up and put in here. And then whatever's in this total column, we divide it by the first column. Insert. So if we look at columns, we'll make these 16 and we'll hit center. Okay. So we have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6, column 7. Okay. So how do we get what's in column 6? How do we get what's in column 6?
By adding by adding 2, 3, 4, and 5 together.
How do we get what's in column 7?
By dividing 1 and 6.
So this is 1 divided by 6. That's how we get the activity rate. Does everyone see that now?
Yes.
Oh, we got it now. What is the purpose of the activity rate at this point? What we're going to do with the activity rate? So that's the next question. What we're going to do with that activity rate? We're going to determine how much of the 200,000 goes to each book. So we got 1 overhead. We got an activity rate of 8. And so we're determining how much goes to each book. So we put down those hours, 2, 3, 10, and 10. We multiply by 8. So 8 times the principal hours, 8 times the intermediate hours, 8 times the advanced hours, 8 times the tax number. And if I add up these numbers, how much are they? 16, 24, 80, and 80. How much is that? How much is
100,000?
16, 24,
I mean,
80, and 80? How much?
100,000? Is it? No, I mean not 100. 200,000?
200,000.
So we have allocated the overhead now. We had 200,000 of overhead. 16,000 of it goes to the principal's book. 24,000 intermediate. 8,000 to advance. 80,000 to advance. 80,000 to tax. So the activity rate is utilized to determine how much of this 200,000 goes to each book? Okay. Once we have how much it goes to each book, we put in the quantities that are going to be produced. You know, these quantities on this top line, we put those quantities right in here, and we divide whatever's on 3 by what's on 4 to get the unit overhead rate. So the unit overhead rate for principals is 0.8, 1.6, 8, and 16. And so now we bring it down to raw materials, labor, and overhead. The principal's book is 31.8. The principal's book is 31.8. What is the cost of the intermediate book? What is the cost of the intermediate book?
The unit cost?
The unit cost and selling price for the intermediate book.
I got 63.6, and then the selling price I got 190.8 for the intermediate. What do you
Anybody
have?
else got anything? Yes, y'all. So the overhead allocated was what? 3,000. Well, it's 3,000 labor hours. So 3,000 times 8 gives us 24,000. Okay, 3,000 times 8 gives us 24,000. So we're going to divide the 24,000 by the 15,000 quantity, and we get 1.6. So can you fill in the rest of this chart now?
Um, 40 for the ink,
How much is the ink?
20, 40 for the ink. Mm,
How much is the paper?
20.
How much?
The labor, the paper is 20.
The labor?
The labor is 2.
So what's our total cost?
63.6. 63.6.
On 53.6.
No, 6.3. Yeah, 6.3.
63.60.
Yes, sir.
Selling price multiple is what?
3.
So what is our selling price going to be?
190.8.
190.8.
You wrote it in the wrong spot.
Did I?
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions before I give you a quiz? Are there any questions
Please
before
don't give us a quiz today.
Wait, is that last the last little chart right there? Is that what part is that? That like part
right
C?
here? Right here?
Yeah. Oh,
This is
never
where
mind.
we determine the selling price and unit cost. You got more
Okay.
than one book, so you got to
Okay.
determine the selling price and unit cost.
All right. I see it now. But we're just stopping
See
from there,
that?
right? We're not doing the
Say
journal
what?
entry.
Say what now?
I said I got it now, but we're just stopping there, right? We're not going into the journal entries, right?
No. Journal entries are a kiss of death to you all, really. I mean, y'all freeze up some people.
Can we not have the quiz today? Can we have that on a different day?
Well, I have to always retest
I'm just
anyway, quiz anyway. So, are there any questions?
somebody have a question.
See, I don't have any questions, so they understand it.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Because I know I have a question somewhere. Let me find it. Hold on.
Too late, Nicole.
Wow.
Where's your husband and your baby?
My baby's over there. I'm eating his Halloween candy. And my husband is at the border with the military.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm. You know you used to have him for class, right?
Yeah, because I remember you had to leave for. And he fooled you that you're supposed to take me, right? Copy. Let me see. So I guess my extra one came in here.
Professor?
Yes. What makes this the quiz?
Professor, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're getting ready to take a quiz.
Yes, sir. I can.
Uh,
My car is like broken down, so I have
broken
to.
down.
Yes, so I had to share my mom's car today, and I'm actually on the way to go get her right now in Humble. So I can take the quiz today, but it won't be right now, or won't be home until about 7:30. Because I live all the way in Tomball and she works in Humble. I'm so sorry. My car stopped working yesterday. It's at my job, and this is the only option I have right now to get where I have to go. So,
Well, good
is
thing you
there any
got a
way I can
mother.
take? Like,
Good thing you got a mother who will share. Good thing you
I
have
know.
a mother who will share with you. That's a good
Yes,
thing.
sir. I'm so grateful about that. Is there any way
Professor,
I can take the quiz later
We'll
when I
see.
get home?
hey, Professor,
Okay.
Yes.
can I say something about the quiz?
Yes.
Can we move it to another day, please?
Yes, can it be Thursday or something?
Thursday, yeah.
We're struggling.
Well, brother got it on Thursday, but
Please move it to
let's
Thursday.
don't
Sure.
call it. Let's don't call it a quiz then, since y'all freaking out over the word quiz.
Let
No,
me
no.
explain something, okay? Because I know I be trying to be the team advocate, but at this point, your class is becoming like overwhelming at this point. Like we have other assignments, and your class is a lot. Like to study, the assignments alone are long and difficult. Like don't get me wrong, like we understand it, some of it, group 8 or whatever, but we still struggle. So I can only imagine that everyone else is struggling. We even struggled on this assignment that we just turned in. Like you give us a quiz every class period. Sir, we need a break.
People say they want extra work. That's what they. That's what they emailed me and said.
No, whoever emailed you that lie.
But they
I'm sorry.
emailed me and said they want extra work. They
Who
want
did that?
No,
You said
Who did
that.
that?
it's
Yeah, who
already
said
been
that?
They can
approved.
have it, not
I know
us.
y'all
They can have
wrong, but we
they can
travel next week. Like, this is
Say
That's your
what?
groupmate.
Okay. What I've done,
Please.
well, let me take the word quiz off there. That'll help you all out.
We
I've
can
cut
work
this
that
together
down.
don't
as a
help.
team,
It doesn't.
as a
It
unit.
doesn't. You
I've
might as well
cut
just
this
let us do it as
down
a class right now.
to 2 books. I cut this down to 2 books.
Oh,
So what I want you to do, if you just had 2 books, could you do this?
I can do it. I just need you to have mercy on me because I can't do it right now.
So Mendez, since you
Stressing
can
us.
do it, so everybody else who's here should be able to do it, right? If you can do it on
No, you're
No.
Are
stressing
you
us.
gonna upload that onto
I'm speaking for myself.
you're not speaking for everybody else.
No, sir, because I understand everybody don't understand. I understand that.
Okay, so all I want you to do, you go step by step. And what I'm trying to do here is, you can't just watch somebody else, you have to do it. So the first thing I want you to do, if you simply had 2 books, calculate the activity rate. You got 2 books, the overhead is 50,000, calculate an activity rate.
So why can't it be a homework assignment? An individual homework assignment due next class period? I'm just saying, you said you want to make sure everybody know how to do it.
Well,
Why can't it just be an individual
Wait, I
homework
have a
assignment?
question. How do you
Since
get
this
the
is
labor?
something that we have to do right
okay,
now.
I just want, the thing is, people will learn how to do if they do. So we're doing this together. I'm simply saying, I want to see how many people can, with this information, how many people can calculate an activity rate. So we're working on this box, calculating an activity rate. What do you think will go in this box right here?
Or do we still have to make one? Because I want to follow with you, but do you have this template on Blackboard?
Oh goodness, need this template.
It just makes it easier. This is the way you're teaching it. So to follow with you on this exact template would help.
Oh, okay. You all have been saying that. I agree. I apologize. But if I give it a template, it won't be any problem, right?
It's
No, it would not.
but it would
The
be a lot.
labor hours gonna be the 2,000 and 3,000.
Y'all working me too hard, I guess.
Do you honestly know how hard you working us? Like, oh,
He
Thank
said
you.
we working him too hard.
thank you. That's a compliment.
How do you find the labor again?
Well, let me
Multiply the
get
or
save as.
you divide the quantity and the labor rate.
The quantity.
20,000 divided by 10 is 2,000.
No, but like not the labor rate, sorry. It's like on the calculation of unit, like the last chart, and it says labor and it says like 1, 2. I don't know if y'all see it.
Yeah, I have to look at the paper whenever he zooms out. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
And we cutting off at 7 because the Astros played today.
What you want to see them lose?
Oh,
They about to lose.
don't do
They are
that.
about to lose.
I was just checking.
Game 7. Game 7.
It's not game 7.
I said they're gonna win in Game 7. I'm calling it.
Oh, okay.
If they
Got it.
don't, I'm not gonna show up to class. I'm sorry. I mean.
Let's see. So there's nothing in this joint product. Okay. It should be in Blackboard now. Is it there?
Yes, sir, it's there.
Where is it under? Oh wait.
Refresh
It'll be
it.
under joint product
Okay,
costing.
I found it now. Thank you.
So if you had this little bitty problem with just 2 books, what would you do?
You're gonna put the labor hours for section 1. So for principals, the labor hours gonna be 2,000, and then the intermediate labor hours gonna be 3,000.
So your quantity is 20,000, you're making 10 per hour. So that's going to be 2,000 labor hours of principals. Intermediate, 15,000 quantity. You make 5 per hour, so it's going to take 3,000 hours. What you going to do with the 2,000 and 3,000?
Add them up to make 5.
My copy has been dropping right down here. Oh, I need another column in here, don't I? Let's see.
You need a total column.
Column to the left. So what's next thing we're going to do?
You add
We're gonna add them together.
Oh, how much is it when you add them together?
5,000.
5,000.
So what might our activity rate be?
10.
And
So see, y'all did all of that. Just doubting your ability.
Because
was
we
it.
thought we were gonna do the
Oh,
whole thing.
for
All
real.
of it.
Get everybody get that 10. What we're gonna do with the 10?
You're gonna put it on the activity rate line.
So we're gonna come
Correct.
down here now. We're gonna copy these, the labor hours, put them in here. Then what's gonna go here?
10.
The activity rate 10. Then what does it say? Allocate overhead, what? Line 1 times line 2.
2,000 and 10,000 and 30,000.
How much?
20,000 and 30,000.
And that's how we're allocating the 50,000. What we're gonna do next?
Bring down the expected quantity.
Bring
down these quantities. What's our unit overhead cost? It says what? Line 3 divided by line 4. So what's the unit overhead cost for principals?
1.
But the unit overhead cost for, put a 1 down here. What's the unit overhead cost for intermediate?
2.
2.
That's smart, y'all. Y'all just doubting yourself. See how smart that, Dominique?
Nobody said that they wasn't smart. I'm just saying that you could have gave us a quiz in the next class period instead of right now, because as you can see, everybody needs to turn in the homework, which means that we need to make it more time before we start taking our quizzes and exams.
All right. Now, I left that part off. You need to come up with the unit cost. Can you come up with the unit costs of each one?
I got 42 for principals and 74 for intermediate.
So, let me see. Insert column to the left. So we're gonna work on principal's book together. Then you all gonna work on the the book by itself, intermediate book. So what's our ink gonna be for principals?
20.
What's our paper gonna be?
10.
What's the labor gonna be? 10 books per hour, $10 an hour. 1. And what's
So wait,
the
that's our
overhead?
labor?
Say what?
Wait, that's the labor? Like that's how you find it? It's 10 divided by the amount of
10 divided by 10
divided by
books.
that productivity.
Okay. And then the next
Yeah,
one?
the labor rate.
Okay. So is it labor productivity divided by labor rate, or is it the opposite?
It's always gonna be the dollars on top and the quantity below. And since we'll put up here, what's our overhead for this principal's book?
I think it was 50,000, wasn't it? The main first. No, I'm lying. Hold on.
What is our unit overhead cost? I'm putting it up here in the quantity, so I should be giving you a hint. What number is going to go up here? Rodney?
I got one for my
Yep.
unit.
Yep, just bring up that one. You just calculate it down here. You bring that one up. That's the overhead. So what's our total cost going to be?
32.
32.
Our overhead is what again? 1?
What's that?
Our
32.
overhead is 1?
That's what you just calculated. You went down here and said that the
Okay, I
overhead
got it.
that went there was 20. The quantity was 20, so it was 1. Then we multiply by 2. What's selling price? What might that selling price be? Don't
60,
everybody speak at once.
64.
I said 64.
Oh, I didn't hear you. All right, you all do the intermediate book. So how much is the intermediate book going to cost us?
$74.
How do we get $74?
It's $40 for the ink.
40 for the
It's
ink,
$20 for the paper.
20 for the paper,
The labor rate is 2.
$64.
and how much is the overhead?
I got 64.
I got 64 also.
Yeah, 64.
Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me see.
How much is the overhead?
2.
2.
2. 2.
So what's our total cost?
64.
4.
Forgive me.
You're good, Rodney.
What's selling price?
192.
Or 192.
Any questions? Any questions?
So you said that the activity rate was also the POR, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
If you're making journal entries, it'll serve both functions. All right, time for example 3. Time for example 3. We're going to make the quantity of intermediate 20,000 also. And it's going to take 2 hours per book. Let's just take these out. And let's make our overhead 120,000. So clear out your sheet and do these things again. So, the key thing that we're doing, we got 2 books. We got one overhead of 120,000. So what we're attempting to do is to find out, okay, what's going to be the selling price of the books. And we'll keep the selling price multiples at 2 and 3. So with that change in information, I want you to calculate total cost and selling price for principals, total cost and selling price for intermediate.
Were the labor hours staying the same, or are we just gonna compute those?
Got your information, 10 books per hour, 2 hours per book. So to answer that question, it won't stay the same. What is our activity rate?
I got 40.
I got
For the
10.
principal's book,
I got 10.
well, there was some differences. There's a big difference between 40 and 10. The quantity is 20,000. Okay, and we're making 10 books per hour, so we need 2,000 labor hours for principals. For the intermediate, it's taking 2 hours per book. So how many hours we gonna need?
10,000.
10,000.
Fuck.
2 hours per book.
Isn't that 20? Oh, wait, too long. Wait.
You know,
That's
Don't
10,000.
don't you multiply the 2 and the 10 and get 20, and then I got 1,000 hours to make. Am I wrong?
Divide.
you're making 20,000 items. It takes 2 hours to make it.
So that's 10,000.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were making one book and it took you 2 hours, how many hours would that be?
2 hours.
So if you got to
Wait,
make 20,000 books, how many hours is it going to be?
40,000?
40,000 might be a good number.
40. Okay.
And I've changed my overhead to 420. I can get an even number. So I copy these.
Okay, because I thought I was wrong. That number was ugly at the end.
Wait a minute, 40 here. Yeah, that's why I jumped in there and changed it. So total hours is 42,000. So what would our activity rate be now? Somebody had that. What would our activity rate be?
It'll be 10.
It's 10.
10 now since I changed it. All right, so much for this. We'll pick back up on this next time. Y'all can finish it up. We'll go back over it next time. Let's see. So basically, that's all I want you to be able to do. Of course, the accounting majors, need to go through and I'll look at the solution. We'll look at that separate. But just going through and making the calculations, it's not the key thing that we're concerned with. Process costing. When we were doing the job order, we had a specific job to complete, and we needed a work in process account for each product. So we had one product, one work in process account. When we had 2 products, you needed 2, 3, 4. So each product has its own work in process account. You're going to go through those calculations, but a lot of it is virtually the same. In process costing, which would be prevalent in the southwest area here, we have items like oil, and so it's only one product, the main product being gasoline. One set of costs are incurred in the Gulf when we get the crude. Another set of costs are incurred when it's brought into Houston, Texas, Louisiana, and it's processed and it's moved from crude to gasoline. And of course, that can be byproducts, but we're just looking at the main thing. So if you got a set of costs out here in the Gulf, you're gonna have a work in process account here, so you can be controlling those costs because there'll be budgets you expect. Then when it's in inland and it's being refined, you're gonna have another set of work in process account. So the key thing here, one product, but a work in process account for each location or each process. And we have to combine all of those. So to kind of look at this, suppose three students on a team had a consulting project that paid $300. Team member 1 worked 8 hours, team member 2 worked 8 hours, team member 3 worked 4 hours. How are we gonna allocate that $300? Give everybody $100? How would y'all allocate the $300? So one way is to give everybody $100, correct? And we have it done. Is there any other way we might allocate it?
Proportion.
Tyrell's gonna say, wait a minute now.
By using proportion.
There was 20 hours on this project. So we divide 20 into 300. The hourly rate is gonna be what? 15? So we're proportionate. So everybody gets 15 an hour. So the top 2 people are gonna get how much? $120, is that right? And the bottom person is gonna get what? $60. And so we allocated the hours proportionately based on total hours of 20. We had 300 coming, so everybody gets $15 an hour. So we don't give them all the same thing. That's typically what would happen. So let's look at process costing, and you got a work in process 1 and a work in process 2. In work in process 1, we go transfer in the raw materials, do the labor, allocate the overhead. We're going to calculate these costs and then transfer from work in process 1 to work in process 2. Then in work in process 2, we're going to bring in the cost from work in process 1. Add the raw materials, labor, and overhead and come up with a total cost. And then we're going to go from finished goods to work in process 2. So we have a set of costs in process 1, another set of costs in process 2, and we add them all together. So the big thing is coming up with how much we're going to allocate. Now, before, we're just doing all of one thing and a pro rata part, all of the labor and overhead and a pro rata part of the raw materials and that caused some problem. So let's look at this problem. They were scheduled to do 12,000 units. They purchased raw material 40,000 in process 1, transferred in 330, 272, and 200. They finished 10,000 units, remaining in the inventory of 2,000 units, 50% complete for raw materials and 25% complete for conversion costs. How much are we going to transfer out? That's the question. And work in process 2, they get the transferred in amount. They add raw materials, labor, overhead, and then they transfer 8,000 units. Okay, so they got 10 and they transferred 8. The ones remaining were 50% complete for raw materials and 75% complete for conversion costs. Then they sold 5,000 units at 4 times the unit cost. So journal entries 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty easy. Journal entry 5, how much you transfer. Then same thing with journal entry 11, how much you transfer. And so to your delight, we have this chart that we can use to determine how much you transfer. So we got these charts to tell you how much goes from work in process 1 and work in process 2. We'll have a chart, similar chart to tell you how much goes from work in process 2 to finished goods. So since we have this chart, and we'll go over it next time, because we got to go and root for those Astros. Got to root for the Astros. But we'll have these charts. Is this in course content, these charts? Our equivalent units charts, are they in there?
I don't think so, but
Yeah,
I can.
this processing.
Yeah, put an
What's called?
insert in that thought.
Right. Process costing. It's in there.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, not the numbers, but the chart is there.
Well, you are going to put the numbers in, right?
You got it.
Okay, so we do have the chart. So when we're testing on this material, basically, I'm going to ask you how much you transfer out in those journal entries. I'm not going to have you go through and make all of those journal entries and transfer them out. I'm just going to have you, determine how much you transfer. And so we'll get into that next time. So you got the example we're going to be looking at it. Look at it and see, and we'll be going from there. Are there any questions? Okay, so we will stop here. Then next class period, we'll go back and look at that, what we did before in terms of coming up with the joint product cost. We'll look at that again. And once we finish that, then we'll come back and look at this in terms of how we're going to determine how much we transfer in this situation.
So is there a quiz next class, sir, or are we just gonna rehash what we learned?
We're just going to work it together like we did today.
Got you.
Unless you all are demanding a quiz, unless Jennifer wants a quiz.
Who said that? Not I. But anyways, I have a question. I'm gonna have a tournament on Thursday, so it's okay if I miss it. I'm not like leaving you on purpose. It's just, I got things to do.
What do you play?
I'm a bowler for the school.
Oh, I have another friend
Yeah.
that's a bowler
I have a
too.
strong
Liana.
team. Oh,
I'm friends
Leanna,
with Liana.
yeah.
What's your average?
I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm just kidding.
If it's over 100, you're doing good.
Huh? I don't know. It depends though.
If it's
Like
over
100.
100, if it's over 100,
Okay, yeah.
you're doing good. You're doing good.
All right.